Here in Peterborough, Ontario, whenever I need something from the old country, I visit the UK shop. The store is owned by Richard Labelle, ably assisted by his dad Paul and his brother Brad. Richard was telling me about the night he met Billy Connolly and his longtime driver, Lindsay Ewing.
He is the driver for Billy Connolly and has been the driver for Billy Connolly for quite some time. And my brother and I had tickets to go see Billy Connolly at Massey Hall, and my friend had said that he would try to get me an autograph if he could. Ironically, we got to Massey Hall, and I actually ran into my friend. And I gave him a poster I carry here in the shop and asked him if he could get the autograph. He said he would try, but he couldn't make any promises. And he would text me after the show was over to let me know where to meet him to get me the poster back. So we watched the show was over, my brother and I are standing in front of Massey Hall, and my phone starts to vibrate, and the message comes back from Lindsay saying, "Meet me backstage." So my brother and I, like something out of a movie, we went tearing off down this smoke-filled alleyway. We came out in behind Massey Hall, and there was Lindsay standing at the door with a big grin on his face, waving this poster. So I went to open the poster up, take a look at it. My brother made the joke, don't forget there's 2 L's in Connolly, insinuating that Lindsay was the one who had signed the poster and not Billy himself. And as I was standing there looking at the poster, Lindsay asked what we were going to do after the show, and I said we'll probably just hit Tim Hortons, get a tea, and go home. And so Lindsay kind of gave us a wink and a nod and said stick around for a little bit, and he went back into Massey Hall. So my brother and I didn't know what to do, so we stood there, we waited because we weren't too sure what to expect, and about 5 minutes later out comes Billy Connolly with Lindsay. So I was just gobstruck. I was just completely gobsmacked. I didn't know what to do. And I should backtrack here. At one point during the show, Billy was telling this story about the Wurzels, and he was stuck for the name of the band. He couldn't remember the name of the band, the Wurzels, and he started singing the "I'm a Combine Harvester" song. I've got a brand new Combine Harvester, and so I yelled out "the Wurzels," and Billy turned around on stage and pointed to me out in the crowd and said, "Yes, the Wurzels, thank you very much." So what happened was when Billy came out back, my brother jumps in between us and says, "Wurzels," and points at me, and Billy looked at him and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he says, "The Wurzels." He goes, "What?" He says, "The Wurzels." He said, "Oh, you're the Wurzels guy." I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Oh, great, thanks for that." He said, "Oh, I was dying up on stage there. I didn't know what, I couldn't think of the name of that band." And then Billy being Billy, when he was telling the Wurzels story, never finished the story on stage. And so he remembered this when we were talking to him out back. And Billy said, "Oh, damn it, I never finished that story." "Okay, well, I'll tell you guys." So here we are. The man just spent 2 hours and 45 minutes on stage performing for everybody. He's off stage half an hour, and he's at it again in the parking lot with a private audience of just me and my brother and my friend Lindsay. And he tells us this Wurzel story, which basically is he was in, I think he said Derry, doing a show. The Wurzels were in that show, and he mentioned that the lead singer of the Wurzels now has Alzheimer's, and but they still take him on tour. And he gets on stage and he's just basically catatonic until the music starts. And then once the music starts, he picks right up, right where he left off, and just carries on like it's, 1970s again, and he's right back in his element. And as soon as the song's over, he just goes right back into this catatonic state again. And he kept coming in and out of his Alzheimer's depending on what song was being played. And at the end of the show, everybody said their goodnights, waved to the crowd, and walked off stage, and left this poor bastard standing there on stage by himself, just staring out at the audience. And they had to come back and get him. And I said to Billy, I didn't know if that was funny or if it was really sad, and he just looked at me with tears in his eyes, killing himself laughing. He said, "Funny or sad?" He says, "That's absolutely hilarious." And he thought that was the funniest thing he had ever seen. And anyways, and that's when I met Billy Connolly. And the last thing I told Billy Connolly was he was the #1 on my bucket list things to do before I die, number one was meet Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
And he told me to go F off, and with a smile. And I said, no, it's true, it's true. And I said, no, but now this really sucks. And he laughed and he said, oh, it sucks, does it? And I said, it sucks because everything I do on the rest of my bucket list is downhill from here. I said, you're not supposed to start at the top of your bucket list. You're supposed to work up your bucket list. And I've started at the top, so everything after this is going to pale by
You got that
comparison.
from that Jack Nicholson movie.
Yeah, the Jack Nicholson movie, The Bucket List. Things to do before you die.
Yeah.
And he thanked me. And the last thing I told him was, I've got 3 kids at home, aged 3, 14, and 16, and every single one of them, when they were babies, when they would get colicky, they would get upset, they'd cry in the middle of the night. To calm them down, I would sing them the Welly Boot song.
Yeah.
And he thought that was just the greatest thing ever, that I would use the Welly Boot song as a lullaby for my children.